Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Jacqui here. I am coming to do a video that I should have done a long time ago. You all know that I have a son named Koen, and he was born last October, and that was when I pretty much just dropped off of YouTube. So I need to come and share his birth story and then what happened, like delivery and all that jazz. So if you guys are interested, let's get started. So I was 39 weeks pregnant and about 2 days. Previously, I think it was like 2 days before, my midwives came and they checked me, and I was still about 3 centimeters dilated. I forget how much effaced I was. I think it was around 50% effaced. And Koen, his head had been engaged in my pelvis for at least 2 weeks. So my pelvis was a mess. I was having so much pain, guys. And at that point, I think I had just stopped going to the chiropractor, and I should have kept going. Please continue to do that. It works wonders. But I stopped going. So I was 39 weeks pregnant, and I remember that night I was like starting to Pinterest things. I was trying to get like some freezer meal stuff going. And so I told my mom, I'm like, yeah, I'm over here writing everything down so I could go grocery shopping. And she was like, yeah, right. We'll see if that happens. And it was about 20 minutes later, all of a sudden I'm sitting there at the computer desk and a huge flow of water just broke. And I was like, Jeff, who's my husband? I was like, I think my water just broke. He was like, are you kidding me? So he came over and he saw it. And you guys know those like plastic things underneath your chair so you can swivel around? That became filled with water. I was kind of freaking out. I was like, okay, this is worse than the movies. I am literally drenched in water. And guys, it did not stop. It just kept going and going and going to the point where I filled up about 2 to 3 bath towels. And one thing I remember from one of my midwives is that she told me that I had a beautiful ratio of water to baby. And so at that point I was like, okay, so that's what she was talking about. Clearly I was drinking tons and tons and tons and tons of water, which is a good thing, but I was amazed at how much water came. And so I text my midwife and I was like, hey, water just broke. And she was like, why don't you get some rest? Because clearly we're gonna have a baby pretty soon. And I was really excited. And so I went to go lay down, and within about 30 to 45 minutes, the contractions had started. And they were not bad. I have a really good tolerance for pain. And, you know, they were going, and at first it was like super simple. They were about 10 minutes apart. Then they started like really kicking in about every 7 minutes apart. And I text her and she was like, how about you just keep doing what you're doing, and if they get about 4 minutes apart and they're staying 4 minutes apart, then let me know and we'll start heading over to you. The nice thing about living in Montana is that you can really get to everything very quickly. And so I was like, okay, so I was doing my good breathing, and my husband was getting everything together. We were going to have a water birth here at home. And so I was very excited. He had the pool together, like my candles, my music, all of our birth kit stuff for the midwives. He had it set. And so I was just going through the contractions and I was breathing, and then I started sending her the updated, like how close they were, and they were getting to be 4 minutes apart constantly. And the contractions started really kicking in at that point. They hurt, but I was still able to like keep my good breathing going, and I was still calm. So as soon as I text her, she was like, okay, we're heading over to you right now. Keep doing what you're doing. So then at that point, I think I called my mom. And so she was over here in about 8 minutes, which was lovely. And she was kind of just helping me through it. Every now and then, if I was hunched over the bed, she would kind of knead in my back. So did my husband. They were just like the perfect team for me, aside from my midwives. They were amazing. My mom was a nurse, so she was lovely. And once my midwives got here, they set everything up, and of course they wanted to check me down there. They previously had said that my cervix was a little bit back. This is something that I have been told before. My first birth with Copeland was at the hospital, and the OBGYN told me that too, that my cervix was a little bit back. So she wanted to look up there, and not only that, she was trying to like pull it forward, if you will. That's what she said. And can I just say, that is the worst pain ever. It's like I was already trying to deal with my contractions, and then for someone to reach up in me and try to pull my cervix forward was just not nice at all. But baby sounded good at that time. Everything was fine. But once she started doing that, that's when everything just hurt even more. Like, I'm not gonna lie, my zen was gone. So I was like walking around, and I was in the bathroom and bending over, and they were just kneading my back, and I was like to the point where it was really hurting really bad. And so we were in the bathroom, and she checked me again, and I'm kind of just like standing up, hunched over my mom first, and then it was over my husband, and she had her hand up there, and I was just like, oh my gosh, you were about to make me so pissed. And at that point she was like, do you feel like you need to push? And I was like, I don't know if I feel like I need to push, but I think I might need to go to the bathroom. And so she kind of got scared, and so did my mom. And I was like, I don't think the baby is coming. I just think I have to go to the bathroom. And so I was in a lot of pain when I was even trying to use the bathroom. And when I am in just up to here in pain, I start to throw up, or my mouth will start watering really bad. And so that was going on. I got done, and I stood up again, and she wanted to check me. She really wasn't telling me about how many centimeters dilated I was. I think the first time she may have said I was about 6. So when I got back up, she checked me again and had her hand up there and was like, oh, I feel the heads right there. And I was like, okay. And so she was telling me, she was like, well, I don't think you're going to be able to do the water birth anymore. And like, I don't know, my spirits dropped. I was so excited and pumped to have a water birth, because that's all we had been planning for. And I was just like, okay, whatever. So we're all in the bathroom, and she's like, I feel the head. Like, do you feel like you need to start pushing? And I was like, no, at least I didn't think so. And she was like, well, why don't you just try? And so I was starting to try a little bit, like when the contractions would start. And I'm not gonna lie, like I should have said no because I didn't feel like it was time. And I did it anyway because I'm like, okay, I don't know anything about home birth. I don't really know much, period, about birth, other than I had one kid. And so she was like, just try to push. And I did, and it started hurting so bad. And like at that point, she still had a hand up there. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this hurts so bad. And I was kind of like yelling. And so she was like, okay, well, why don't you lay back down? Let's check you again. And she did. And she was like, it almost seems like you went backwards in your progression. I was a little confused, but I knew honestly in the back of my head that I was about to end up at the hospital. They were trying to give me like those little water shots in my back, and that did absolutely nothing. So I was kind of like, whatever. But when she kept checking me, that is when it just hurt so bad. And she thought that I went backwards, and they were checking the baby's heart rate. And at that point, I kind of saw them like looking at each other and talking, and they were like, the baby's heart rate has dipped like significantly. So we feel that it's time to head to the hospital. And so I was just like, okay, whatever. I was in excruciating pain at that point. So I'm like, let's go. We got everything and we started heading down the steps, and I just remember getting into the car and traveling to the hospital. It was me, my husband, and one of my midwives, and I was just yelling because I had never been in pain like that, and it just felt like fire down there, and I was just like screaming. I wouldn't say screaming, but I was yelling. When we got to the hospital, thank God it was just like 10 minutes down. Got to the hospital, they got me in the wheelchair and got me to the doctor, and he was like, Jacqui, you are about 7 centimeters dilated. And when he told me that, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of upset. So I'm like, see, I knew my body. I was not fully dilated yet. How am I gonna push out this big baby and I'm just 7 centimeters? So that part did frustrate me. But at this point in the game, I was so much in pain. And so he was just like, with his heart dipping like this, we need to go ahead and get him out because the cord could be wrapped around his neck. He's like, we don't want to take any steps that's gonna harm him or you. And I was just like, okay, I just need to be out of pain. And he was just like, okay. And they were trying to get me to like do some good breathing. They gave me like the little mask so I could breathe in and out. And every time like I would get a little bit better, but I was like, get me out of pain. So he was like, I think our best step is to do a C-section. And guys, I'm not gonna lie, I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. And, you know, at first I was a little disappointed, but I'm like, I don't care. As long as he is okay, as long as I'm okay, let's do this. I'm like, give me either epidural, do whatever you got to do. So they gave me a spinal. And can I tell you, once that kicked in, your girl was good. I was like, oh my gosh. And my husband laughs at me because he was like, girl, you were in a whole nother realm after you got your spinal. So they were getting everything prepped and the doctor was in there. And then who else was there to assist in the C-section was my old OBGYN. And I was so excited. The town of Bozeman is small, just to let you know. So my old OBGYN was just Boss's, like one of his really good friends, if not best friend. And she was fabulous before. And she was like, hey, Jacqui. And I'm laying down like, oh my God, I'm so happy. And everyone in the room, like even the anesthesiologist was from the Midwest. I'm from Chicago, Jeff is from Wisconsin. And so it was lovely. I just felt so much more calm. I was out of pain and I was like, let's get this baby out of here. With the C-section procedure, everything was fine. I just felt like a little tugging on my left side, and I knew that Koen was going to be a big baby. Already knew it. So when they told me, when he came out, they were like, he's 9 pounds and 4 ounces. I'm like, good God, this is a big baby. Copeland was 8 pounds, 11 ounces. And so I'm just like, I'm just bred to make huge babies. So yes, he was just so beautiful. And Jeff was so excited. I was excited. Jeff was so happy that it was over. During the whole midwife process, he was on pins and needles because he just was like, what if something happens? And it did, and we were okay. I was okay. Baby was okay and healthy. They took such great care of all of us in the hospital. Bozeman has one of the best hospitals, and it was great. Would I say I would never use a midwife again? I would, but it would be in a hospital because going forward, I'll probably, he said it's like 50-50. I could maybe have a baby vaginally if we were to do it again, or it could end up in a C-section. So at that point, I mean, we'll see. I was just happy that we were okay and well. God is so good. So I just want to tell you all, if you all have your heart set on one thing, and if it doesn't go exactly that way, just as long as you're okay, as long as you're healthy, mama, as long as baby is healthy, that is all that matters. Don't let anyone tell you you are less of a mom if you had a C-section or if you did not have 100% natural birth. Guess what? You have birthed a child. And so I just want to give you guys a little encouragement. I hope you all enjoyed the birth story, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great one. Bye.